How much earnest money should you put down in a contract? That's a topic of today's show. This is Todd Toback, and I want to welcome you to the No Limits Real Estate Investing Podcast. If you are looking to lock up big, fat, juicy wholesale deals, then this is your place. I have a gift for you. If you have ever wondered what to say to a seller, how to say it, what tone, the inflections, and really how to decide whether you had a prospect or a suspect, right? A seller who is going to do business with you or not. And you wanted the quickest way to figure that out, even if you had no idea what to say to a seller, right? You got to go to my website, nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script. And there I have a free gift for you. You can download the very same exact script that we use in our business that we've used to lock up over 1,300 deals now, and the same script that tens of thousands of investors have used across the country to lock up their real estate deals. So go to nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script to download your free copy today. So that being said, I got an awesome question today by a listener and I had to share it. So let's go ahead and play that and jump right in.
Hey, what's going on, Todd? How's it going, bud? I want to go back to one of the things that you referenced to earlier. Now, I've had a couple of sellers tell me the exact same thing, that he was advised by another investor, instead of, because I usually put $1,000 down as earnest money. How do you overcome when another investor is telling the seller to, okay, if you see this in the contract, you see this in the contract, you see this in the contract, they may not be your buyer. How do you overcome that?
So you got a couple things going on here, but for the purpose of this show, I'm going to focus on the earnest money. It sounds like you have another investor who's trying to sabotage your deal and planting seeds that you're not putting enough earnest money down. That's what I'm hearing. If not, I'm going to take the question in a different direction. And by the way, are people going to try to kill your deals every now and then? Yeah, sure, that's going to happen. You can't stop it. So all I'm going to recommend to you is focus on yourself. So if you're a listener, you may be wondering, hey, how much earnest money should I put down in my contract? I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this one. But I tell you what, I don't think many of you can argue because we've locked up a lot of deals using the same contract and the same earnest money. And I'm going to give you a solution to if the seller says no. So I could tell you the vast majority of our real estate contracts have $100 as the earnest money in the agreement. So it's pre-printed. It's in the contract. And under the earnest money has the words $100 in it. Now, I'm going to recommend that it's pre-printed. Why? Because you don't need to draw attention to it. Don't make a big deal about it. Don't even mention it. It's in there. It's $100. I can tell you that most sellers do not care how much earnest money you are putting down. They just care on what day they are going to close and get all of their money. Okay? They don't care about the earnest money. They care about the day that they're going to get all of their money. Very, very important. And so they're focused on the purchase price. So you want to have the EMD already filled in, and you want to have the purchase price empty so that when you write it in, it's handwritten, or if you're doing a DocuSign, it looks like it was added there. The purchase price, because that is where their eyes are going to fixate. They're going to look at the date of the close, and they're going to look at the money. So don't get in your own head. $100. Now, why I like this is because if you're doing any kind of volume, 10, 15, 20 deals, first of all, you're not going to lock up $20,000 in escrow or title. Number two is that you may be wrong in your due diligence. And if you're wrong, the seller, if you put your earnest money in the title company, will have to sign off on releasing that money. So let's assume that you put in $100 and the seller releases it. Great. If they don't, well, you lost $100. But if now the seller won't release it, let's just say it's sour grapes. Even if you were in the right, well, now you're going to lose $1,000. So I would say only put in the amount that you're comfortable losing. And I'm going to put in 100. Now, there are some times when a seller will bring this up. By the way, I'm going to talk about an exception here later. But there are some times where a seller will bring up the earnest money amount. And this is really, really important, is I like to make this a non-issue because we have a lot of money in the line. So if the seller says, hey, I'm not uncomfortable with this $100, which happens occasionally, but rarely, right? I'm going to tell you maybe 1 out of every 20 or 30 deals, maybe. So if the seller has an issue there and they're like, hey, $100 not enough. And I'd say, okay, would 1,000 be better? Jump from 100 to 1,000. They're going to say, yes. Great. Make a non-issue and put $1,000 in there. That is my recommendation. So go ahead and do that if the seller brings it up. Don't even ask twice, just change it, right? That way you could stick with 100 the majority of the time. And if you need to move to 1,000, that's great. If the deal is good enough and they want you to put $5,000 in, okay, go ahead and do that. But I'm going to always keep out 100 unless the seller negotiates otherwise. If I know it's a really, really, really good deal and I'm not, worried about putting that $5,000 in, then I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think I've only lost Earnest money maybe once or twice during my career. I mean, in terms of any kind of significant, we've lost a few $100 Earnest monies every now and then, but I think I lost $2,500 one time from a seller who would not release it. So just understand that may happen, but very, very, very rare. And I could tell you that, this is a game of averages, right? So I'm going to move and I'm not going to let that hold me back. Now, there's an exception to this. And that is when you're dealing with real estate agents and getting real estate agent deals. So for us, when we're in San Diego, we do $5,000 earnest money on all offers that we submit to a real estate agent when we're doing those deals, because that is the norm, that is the standard, that's their world, it's on their contract. So that's what we do, right? And so we'll use $5,000. In Florida, it may be $2,500, whatever it is in your market. But when you're doing deals with real estate agents, put that earnest money on there. Now, if you don't have that money, by the way, I recommend that you always use $100. But if you don't have that, you could also get a partner to put that up for you, right? Give them a return of the deal. Let's say they put in $5,000 and you want to wholesale that deal that you got from a real estate agent. And you say, hey, listen, if you put in $5,000, I will give you an extra 1,000 when my deal closes. So put in 5,000 and that will give you back 6,000 to do the deal. But don't let anything hold you back. Most of you have ever listened to this podcast, you got a few bucks in the bank, right? So you're not scared to put this money up. So let me review. Number one from our listener is, sure, you're going to have other investors try to sabotage your deal. That's just part of the game, but don't get sucked into that, right? That's like, don't get sucked down to that level. Focus on yourself and get better every single day. Number two, I use $100 in all of my contracts just to keep it simple, nice and low. 99% of sellers have no problem with this. They don't even recognize it. You want to leave the purchase price blank and the closing date because all they care about is their money. And guess what? You are going to deliver. Do you know why? Because you're going to negotiate a great price for yourself at a great profit so you can sell it. Right? You know it, right? So have faith in yourself. You listen to this podcast, you're a beast, right? So if you've got to go up in price or EMD and the seller brings it up, have confidence, right? You could make it 1,000, you can make it 5,000, you can make it 10,000 if you thought the deal was good enough, right? But don't make an issue about it. Have the purchase price blank and the date blank because that's where the seller's eyes are going to fixate. The only thing they care about is how much money they're going to get at the close, not the earnest money. Okay. Reminder, you can go up. If they bring it up though, don't make an issue out of it. Do not draw more attention to that. Go up to 1,000 or 5,000 at that point and get that done. Okay. I'm not really scared about losing that because you are going to generate a big, fat, juicy wholesale deal. Now there is an exception to this. If you are dealing with a real estate agent, right, you have to play in their world. You want to use their contracts and you want to use the normal earnest money deposits. So if you're in a competitive market, just do the research, right? Normally it's $5,000. In other markets, it's $2,500. Lower markets, $1,000. So do that research and have the agent put that in for you. If it's higher than you're comfortable with, you can negotiate that sum. It's probably not going to fly at $100, just FYI, but just know with an agent, it's going to be at that higher price and get that done. Finally, if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, Todd, I don't have $5,000. I don't have $10,000. I don't have $25,000. Fine, partner with somebody, right? I had one person partner with me on a mobile home park, and they brought me a deal, and they didn't have the earnest money, and they were going to assign me the deal, and they did, but I actually had to put in the earnest money, and I put down, I think it was $15,000 for the earnest money, so I put that down for them. They actually assigned the deal to me, got the assignment fee. I didn't earn a return from my EMD at that point. I just got the deal, and they got a big, nice, fat, juicy assignment fee, and I got a nice mobile home park to hold. So by the way, if you do want to partner and you have mobile home parks that you want to sell to me, right, or having a contract or want to get under contract, email me support@nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com, support@nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com. And I'd love to partner with you. So remember, don't get caught up on this. Just move forward and improve your business every day. If you have not downloaded the script, head on over to nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script. Use it, tell your friends, and I can't wait to hear about that big, fat, juicy wholesale deal. And I will talk to you on the next episode. Talk to you soon.